Hello, my friends. Let me ask you this. When was the last time silence saved you from chaos? Most people think strength is loud, that you need to fight every battle, prove every point, chase every ounce of respect. But the truth, real power is quiet. It's calm. It's the ability to walk away, to stay centered when the world around you is spinning. In this video, I'm sharing 14 timeless Stoic lessons on the power of silence, inner strength, and living free from the noise of the world. These lessons are drawn from decades of life, from the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, and I promise by the end, you'll see strength in a whole new way. So here's what I want you to do. Hit that like button if you believe peace is stronger than chaos. Subscribe now so you don't miss any future Stoic wisdom. And most importantly, watch this video all the way through, because one of these lessons might change the way you live for the rest of your life. Let's begin. Lesson 1. The power of stillness. True strength doesn't come from proving yourself, it comes from silence. When you no longer feel the urge to shout, to argue, to convince, you reveal an inner power far greater than any loud voice could show. Do less, but with greater purpose. Let every action be intentional, not a desperate attempt to impress others. Silence is the weapon of wisdom. The fewer words you speak, the heavier each word becomes. When you stop rushing to defend your ego, people start to notice. When you no longer need recognition, you taste freedom. Respect is never demanded. It's earned through the quiet confidence of someone who knows their worth. In a world obsessed with noise, slowing down becomes a rare form of elegance. While others burn out chasing attention, you endure not by running faster, but by walking steadily in your own lane. That is the quiet rebellion of the strong. Lesson 2. Silence speaks louder than words. Have you ever been in an argument and realized the best response was no response at all? That moment when you decide, I don't need to fight this battle, that's strength. Not because you're weak, but because you know your peace is worth more than proving a point. When you don't react to every insult, you take back control. You become unpredictable, and unpredictability is power. People can't manipulate what they can't predict. So let me ask you, when was the last time you chose silence instead of reacting, and how did it change the outcome? Drop your story in the comments. If this message resonates, share this with a friend who needs calm, and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom every week. Lesson 3. Freedom from approval. The highest form of freedom is when you no longer live for applause. Most people are prisoners of opinions. They need validation to feel alive. But when you reach a point where praise or criticism doesn't shake you, you've found true independence. Think about it. The person who needs constant recognition will always be controlled by others. But the one who doesn't need it, that person becomes untouchable. Stop playing the game of performance. Step out of the spotlight. You'll find that real power isn't in being seen, it's in being grounded. Lesson 4. When silence becomes your greatest strategy. There's a moment in life when you realize not every battle is worth fighting. Not every insult deserves an answer. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is no move at all. Think about the last time someone tried to provoke you. Maybe it was a family member, a colleague, or even a stranger online. You felt that burning urge to respond, didn't you? To set the record straight, to prove them wrong. That urge, that fire, that's the ego speaking, and the ego always demands the stage. But here's what I've learned after 6 decades of living reacting is easy. Anyone can throw words like stones. But choosing silence, that takes strength. It takes discipline. Because silence isn't emptiness. Silence is control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always have the power to have no opinion." That line changed my life. Imagine the freedom in that. To not be dragged into every fight. To say, this doesn't deserve my energy. I remember working with a man who was constantly criticized at work. Every meeting, someone had something negative to say. Most people would defend themselves, argue, or lash out. But not him. He would sit, listen, and simply nod. One day I asked him, "Why don't you defend yourself?" He smiled and said, "Because their opinion doesn't build my life. My actions do." That's Stoicism in action. And the result? People stopped targeting him because silence gave them nothing to feed on. His calmness became his shield. So here's my question to you. When was the last time silence saved you from a situation that could have turned ugly? How did it feel? Share your story in the comments. I want to hear from you. If this resonates with you, hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs this wisdom today, and don't forget to subscribe for more lessons on living strong and calm. Lesson 5. The hidden wealth of simplicity. We live in a world where everyone is racing to buy more, to show more, to be more. But what if real wealth wasn't about adding more, but subtracting the unnecessary? In my 60 years, I've seen this truth play out again and again. The happiest people aren't those who own the most, but those who need the least. That's what Seneca meant when he said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more who is poor." When you simplify your life, you take back control. You stop running in the endless marathon of comparison. You begin to breathe again. You start noticing things: a sunrise, a quiet meal, the laughter of someone you love. These are the treasures that noise blinds us to. I remember a woman who came to me after retirement. She said, "I feel lost. I've worked all my life, I have money, a house, but I can't find peace." We sat together and talked about what really mattered to her. Slowly, she began letting go, donating things, saying no to unnecessary commitments, creating space for silence. Months later, she told me, "For the first time, I feel rich not because of what I own, but because of what I don't need anymore." Simplicity is power. It frees you from the trap of appearances. It reminds you that your worth isn't measured by your possessions, but by the depth of your peace. Lesson 6. Freedom from the stage of life. The world is a theater, and most people are desperate for the spotlight. They perform, they pose, they seek applause. But here's a question I want to ask you. What happens when you step off the stage? When you stop performing what's left? That moment is terrifying for many, because the silence after the applause feels like emptiness. But for a Stoic, that silence is freedom. When you no longer depend on validation, you own yourself completely. I've coached CEOs, artists, and everyday people, and I can tell you those who live for recognition are never free. Their moods rise and fall with the opinions of others. One compliment and they soar. One criticism and they crumble. That's not freedom, that's slavery. But the ones who've stepped off the stage, they glow differently. They no longer measure themselves by applause. They know their worth when no one is watching. So here's my question for you. What would your life look like if you stopped performing for others? If you didn't care about likes, approval, or applause, what would you do differently? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if this hits home for you, click like, share this with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more Stoic lessons every week. Lesson 7. The rare strength of doing less. We live in an age that worships busyness. The louder you are, the harder you hustle, the more society applauds you. But let me tell you something I've learned after decades of watching people burn themselves out. Life isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters and letting go of the rest. When I was younger, I thought success meant saying yes to everything. Every project, every invitation, every opportunity. I believed movement was progress, but all that rushing, it made me scattered, tired, and ironically less effective. One day, a mentor told me something I've never forgotten. You don't get paid for doing more things. You get paid for doing the right things. That's when I started practicing restraint. I began asking, does this really matter, or am I just trying to look busy? And here's the truth. The more you cut away, the sharper you become. Like a sculptor removing the excess stone to reveal a masterpiece, life becomes art when you simplify. Doing less isn't laziness, it's wisdom. It's choosing depth over noise, meaning over metrics, peace over applause. Lesson 8. When walking away is a power move. Have you ever stayed in an argument too long just to prove you were right? Maybe you walked away later exhausted, asking yourself, why did I waste so much energy on this? We've all been there. One of the greatest strengths you can develop is the ability to walk away. Not because you're weak, but because you value your peace more than your pride. The Stoics had a principle control: what you can ignore, what you can't. That includes people's opinions. You can't make everyone agree with you. You can't force understanding where there's no willingness to listen. I remember a client who struggled with family arguments. Every holiday turned into a battlefield. One day he tried something new. He didn't argue. He didn't explain. He smiled, wished everyone well, and left. Later, he told me, "For the first time, I felt free." So let me ask you, have you ever experienced the power of walking away instead of fighting? How did it change things for you? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it. If this resonates, click like, share this message with someone who needs peace, and subscribe for more Stoic lessons every week. Lesson 9. The elegance of moving slowly. There's something rare about a person who moves slowly in a world that's always rushing. When everyone else is running after the next big thing, the next trend, the next applause, you pause, you breathe, you take your time. That's not weakness, that's confidence. Slowness is a quiet rebellion. It's saying, I refuse to let urgency rob me of life. The truth is, most people aren't rushing because life demands it. They're rushing because they fear being left behind. They confuse speed with purpose, movement with meaning. But here's what the Stoics knew: haste is the enemy of wisdom. When you slow down, you see things clearly. You notice patterns others miss. You make decisions not from panic, but from principle. I once worked with a man who, in meetings, never spoke first. He listened. He waited. Sometimes people thought he was passive, but when he finally spoke, everyone listened. Because his words were measured, deliberate, powerful. That's what slowness gives you weight. While others burn out chasing the horizon, you arrive exactly where you need to be: calm, collected, in control. Lesson 10. The strength of saying no. Most of us were raised to believe that saying yes makes us kind, generous, and loved. But here's the truth. Saying yes to everything is the fastest road to exhaustion and resentment. Real strength. It lies in the word no. Think about this: every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to something essential: your peace, your health, your time with people who truly matter. And once time is gone, you can't buy it back. The Stoics understood this deeply. They saw time as life's most precious currency. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do every act of your life as though it were the last." That means being selective, ruthless with what you allow in. I worked with a man in his 60s who told me, "I've spent decades pleasing people and I'm tired." We practiced saying no with grace, without guilt. Months later, he said, "I feel younger because now I own my time." So let me ask you, what is one thing you need to start saying no to starting today? Share your answer in the comments. I read everyone. And if this message speaks to you, hit that like button, share this with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more Stoic lessons every week. Lesson 11. Respect born in silence. Respect isn't something you demand. It's something you radiate quietly without asking. The loudest person in the room may win attention, but it's the calm one who earns respect. When you don't need validation, when you refuse to compete in the game of ego, you project strength that can't be faked. People sense it. They lean in, not because you shouted, but because your silence carries weight. I've seen this in boardrooms, in families, even in friendships. The ones who talk the most rarely lead, but the ones who listen, observe, and speak with purpose, they lead without trying. Here's a truth to hold on to: the more you need respect, the less you get it. Why? Because desperation repels, but confidence quiet. Confidence draws people like a magnet. So next time you feel the urge to prove yourself, pause. Ask, do I need to speak, or will my calmness say it for me? Lesson 12. The art of walking light. We live in a time where people carry too many possessions, too many obligations, too much noise in their minds. But the Stoic way teaches us something radical. The lighter you walk, the freer you live. I remember a friend who spent decades chasing status symbols, cars, big houses, expensive vacations. One day, health problems forced him to downsize. He told me later, "I thought losing things would make me miserable. Instead, I feel free." Minimalism isn't about deprivation. It's about liberation. It's understanding that life's real luxuries aren't material. They're time, health, love, and peace of mind. So let me ask you, what's one thing, physical or mental, you could let go of today to feel lighter? Share it in the comments. And if this thought resonates, share this with someone who needs clarity, and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom every week. Lesson 13. The rare power of mystery. There's a unique kind of strength in being unreadable, in not giving the world full access to your thoughts and emotions. Today, oversharing has become a cultural addiction. People post everything: what they eat, where they go, how they feel. But here's a truth. Few realize the more people know about you, the more power they have over you. When you keep parts of yourself private, not out of fear but out of wisdom, you maintain control. Mystery creates respect. It creates space for curiosity. And in that space, you hold the advantage. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because a Stoic knows that appearances don't matter. Essence does. Let people wonder. Let them misjudge. That's their noise, not your burden. In my own life, I've learned this: when you stop explaining yourself to everyone, you gain a calm power that no argument can match. Silence used wisely is not emptiness. It is armor. So next time you feel the urge to overshare, pause. Ask yourself, am I giving away my power by giving away my privacy? Lesson 14. When less noise means more power. We live in an age of endless noise. Social media, opinions, news, arguments, drama. And most people, they drown in it. But those who learn to step back, to speak less, to appear less, they gain something rare: presence. When you're always available, always posting, always explaining, people take you for granted. But when you become selective, when you show up with purpose, your presence carries weight. You become like rare art, scarce, valuable, unforgettable. This isn't about playing games or acting superior. It's about living with intention. Doing less, but doing it deeply. Speaking less, but making every word matter. Appearing less, but leaving an impression every time you do. So here's my question for you. What would happen if you cut the noise in your life by half? How would it change the way people see you and the way you feel about yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this strikes a chord with you, click like, share this message with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom every week. Thank you, my friend, for staying with me until the end. In a world that never stops shouting, you chose to sit in silence with these lessons, and that tells me something about you. You value depth over noise, wisdom over distraction. If even one of these Stoic principles spoke to you, do me a favor. Hit that like button. It really helps this message reach more people. Share this video with someone who needs calm in their life today. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more Stoic insights every single week. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Which lesson stayed with you the most, and why? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. Until next time, stay strong, stay calm, and remember, the most powerful voice you have is silence.